So my name is Adam Osborn. I'm president of Ace Steel Supply, and I'd like to welcome everyone to our conference call on the Section 232 and its impact. Really, the purpose of this call is to help everyone to wrap their heads around what's going on. Everyone on this call is dealing with this issue and situation, and it's not something that any of us have any control over. But we can look at this with the glass half full instead of half empty, and we can take away some positives. I'd like to remind everyone that we're good at creating customized solutions for your specific needs to save you time, make your life easier, and take the stress out of buying steel. That does apply right now. We can help those that are forward-looking and want to put together a solution. Let's go ahead and get started. We sent out an email blast this morning about 6 a.m., and on that was a link to a timeline we put together. And if you didn't get that, check with your salesperson so we can troubleshoot why you're not getting our emails. And it's also on our website at acesteelsupply.net. You can go to the blog page, and it's right there on the timeline. You can click on that, and you can view it. I don't want to spend a ton of time on that, but I can go over the basics of the timeline of what's taken place. So a quick overview is the whole investigation was based on the premise that we needed to protect our national security and be able to produce steel needed to protect ourselves in a time of war and be self-sufficient to handle the capacity needed for a wartime situation in other parts of the economy. So Trump wanted more steel to be produced in the United States, and he wants the steel mills to be consistently profitable so they'll be around for a long time when we need them. So recently, he's made comments and he indicated the aluminum mills were decimated and we're going to, could be gone within 2 to 3 years, and our capacity would be greatly diminished in the aluminum mills and the other steel mills due to profitability issues and unfair trading. So back on April 19th, almost a year ago, this whole investigation started. The market heated up last summer, and in anticipation of a decision being made, but the president was in the middle of health care reform and tax reform at that time, and more studies needed to be done. So he kind of put that decision on the back burner, so the market kind of cooled off a little bit, and it was delayed for a few months. Then starting in December, there were rumors that the report would be given to the president very soon, and more uncertainty started to build. On January the 11th, the report was delivered to the president, but there were no details in it. We didn't know what was in it or the recommendations. A little over a month later, on February the 16th, the details of the report were released, that some kind of tax quota would be implemented ranging from 24 to 53%. So very few foreign mills had been offering steel to U.S. customers leading up to this, and those that were started canceling the orders with the U.S. customers right after the details became public. So they canceled these orders so they wouldn't be impacted by some unknown tariff, since they're the importer of record in most cases. And whoever's the importer of record has to pay the tariffs at the customs at the time of customs. Does anybody have any questions or comments up to now? Okay. All right. So next point is, when will we know for sure what will happen? Well, I'm sure everybody's seen this in the news in the past few days. Trump informally said last week that he had intentions of implementing a 25% tariff on steel and a 10% tariff on aluminum. And then he said that he would sign it in on an executive order this week. Well, he has a meeting about that today, and, I don't expect him to sign anything today. I think he's going to talk to some more people, but it very well could happen tomorrow. It's going to happen pretty quickly. He's already said that that's what his intentions are, and I honestly don't see any reason why he would back off of that. So, what happens after he makes a decision? Well, once we know what the final decision is and the rules are established, then the mills will requote new prices and availability according to the new rules that are established, and whatever they are. Probably very close to what he indicated verbally, 25 and 10%. So I expect foreign mills are going to come back into the market with new delivery times and prices. There could be carve-outs. That's coming in the news just the last couple of days. Mexico, Canada are yet to be seen whether that actually happens. I suspect there might not be any in the beginning until the NAFTA renegotiation is finished. I think he probably is going to hold those cards and say you're on the hook until we settle these NAFTA renegotiations, and that's my opinion. Normally, when tariffs are implemented, there is normally some kind of time frame in the future that's established before the tariff goes into effect to allow for orders to arrive that have already been in the pipeline. We don't know if that's going to be the case this time. It could be immediate. We just don't know. The biggest problem is orders have already been canceled. So does anybody have any comments or questions up to now? Okay.
I have one. I'm sorry, I have one. Do we currently have the capabilities of creating all the steel and aluminum that America needs with so many plants shutting down?
No, we don't.
What's the problem?
Yeah, we do not have the full capacity to create all the needs for our full economy right now. So if you think about that in terms of a wartime, since that's what this whole premise has been around, in my opinion, we do have the capacity to do that in that kind of time frame, because guess what? They're going to stop selling as much steel to make cars and filing cabinets and all these different kinds of things, and they'll repurpose that steel for other reasons other than those kinds of things that we could do without if we were in that kind of a situation. But a normal operating economy, no, we can't produce it all. Some of it has to come from overseas. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir, it does.
Okay.
Hey, Adam, I've got a question. This is Tim Miller. If you have an order that is in place and existing for the import of foreign steel, and you've negotiated a price, will a tariff that's implemented affect the price of the steel at the time that you receive it?
Okay. Yes. So the answer to that question would be if you had, as a steel distributor, if we had an order in place with a foreign mill, one of two things has happened already. One, they've canceled or they've reneged on the order. Or two, they gave you the option and said, we'll keep it on order if you will be responsible for the full impact of whatever happens. So in most cases, they've canceled the orders. But in some cases, we have taken the risk and said, okay, we'll be responsible for the impact of that to keep our steel on order.
Sure. Okay.
But realistically, the foreign mills most of them have canceled them because they didn't want to be responsible, and hey, maybe they didn't trust that somebody was going to actually follow through and pay for it when it showed up.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And
Interesting.
if there's a duty on it, that was a big number. Okay, so let's go to the next point and explain why inventory availability problems are happening right now. So foreign mills have been canceling orders for about 6 weeks, and they haven't been taking any new orders for fear of being responsible for unknown tariffs. So the domestic mills have been limiting the amount of steel that customers like us can buy, and they've been getting additional business due to the foreign mill order cancellations. So the steel that's been canceled by the foreign mills will create short supplies that were counted on to cover inventory needs in the future over the next few months. The real inventory supply pain of this is just now starting, and it will continue to become an increasing problem as time goes on over the next few months. The domestic mills have not been taking all of the orders that people are trying to give them because of a combination of them holding out for higher prices and that they don't have enough raw materials to cover all the demand, or they're maxing out their production capacity. So realistically, it's a combination of all of that. So I've had to take some tariff risks and agree to pay them on some of the foreign orders I had in order to keep them on order, the ones that I had the option to do that. But many of them were just flat canceled, okay? And realistically, they canceled those because they knew that they could sell that steel for higher numbers in the future because the prices were already running up. So many orders have already been canceled, and there was no option to accept the tariff. So I've had to take some tariff risks myself and agree to pay for those in order to keep some of those foreign mill orders intact. The ones that allowed me to do it, many of them just didn't allow that to happen, and they realistically just wanted to cancel the orders because they knew that, you know, when they came back to the market, the prices would be much higher. So, you know, prices are going higher, but we can work on a solution for your inventory needs. Call us. Let's discuss your situation one-on-one. If we don't stick our head in the sand and are proactive, and we can get ahead of this, we can stay positive and work out a solution. Does anybody have any comments about inventory availability issues and why that's coming?
Could you maybe explain how the process is from the order to coming into port here, how that works?
Okay, yes. So when you're ordering steel from a foreign mill, it depends on the type of steel, but it essentially is a 5 to 6 month process. And so it takes so long to get the steel in. That's what's really going to create the supply disruptions going forward. all of that steel that was supposed to hit the Houston docks and help supply the Gulf Coast market with steel, and and even other parts of the United States where they send it up the river on barges or in different ways, taking it to different places. All of that is going to cause problems because these orders have been canceled, and it's going to take time for those orders to be reestablished and get back into the production line and all of that. So realistically, there's going to be a few months of a gap of orders that just never came in. And the U.S. mills, they're not taking all the business that people are trying to give them to cover needs. So does that help explain that?
Yes.
Okay. Let me go to the next topic about price. So I'm not really expecting the foreign mills to come in with pricing much lower than the domestic mills when they do come back to the market. They know that there's availability issues and shortages that are happening. And in fact, it wouldn't surprise me to see them about the same price as domestic steel. Now that's, in this market down here, typically foreign steel is usually a little less in price than domestic. But they may not be right now. And I feel very strongly that the domestic mills are not done going up. The prices of hot rolled are up over 40% in the Gulf Coast area right now. And we're back to the peak of 2011, and I expect it to continue to go up. Historically, when domestic mills have pricing going in their favor, they raise it as high and as fast as they can. And if they keep selling out the capacity that they offer on a month-to-month basis, because they open their books up, they sell the capacity for whatever price that they offer, and as long as they continue to sell out the capacity that they offer in that month, they're going to raise it again for next month's production. I typically see those increases happen until they stop selling out their capacity. So foreign mills will raise their prices right along with the domestic mills and follow their lead. Nobody really knows how high the prices will go, but in my opinion, they're not done going up yet. All products are going up right now: hot-rolled, galvanized, cold-rolled, stainless, aluminum, all of them. I've heard some people asking, what if Trump doesn't do anything? Well, I see that as very unlikely. There's already tariffs in place for many countries, so the availability from foreign mills was already diminished. But he's already said he's going to do it. I can't imagine he backs off of that. So our prices have been going up, and they still must go higher based on the cost to replace steel. There could be a time in the future that all the steel needs may not be able to be covered. And if we don't have inventory allocated and set aside for you, price is always important, but right now having a consistent supply of inventory is more important than price. Does anybody have any questions about price yet? Okay. So
I have a question. I have a question about price. So since we don't know what's going to be happening, when would be a good time, since we're anticipating prices to keep rising, when would be a good time to maybe, if I know I'm going to be ordering the same things over and over, when would be a good time to try to order a large order overseas to secure that I have material down the road?
Okay. So the time is now. you've got to get ahead of this thing in order to cover supply needs. So the time is now to lock in some pricing and lock in some inventory to secure your needs so that you don't have any kind of interruption. And you know, I know higher prices is always a scary thing, and you know, we hear from our customers that, you know, we can't raise our price to our customer and we can't sell it for that higher price. The reality is the prices are higher, and the end users of these products, they're not going to have a choice. They're going to have to pay higher prices. There's just no way around it. You know, we can't. And so I would encourage all of you to raise your prices to your customers and get ahead of this thing. You will likely hear from people that you don't hear from very often, and some of them will, you know, try to, you know, say XYZ company hasn't gone up in price, and, you know, but they can't sustain that even if that was true. And in some cases, I suspect it won't be true even when they tell you that. So, you know, another way to think about prices in a positive way would be, if you think about margin, most all of you are marking up your steel on top of all of your other things that you have in your cost buildup. So, you know, if a sheet of something was $20 and you marked that up by 15%, then that's $23.52. So that's $3.52 in real money per sheet for your markup. And just hypothetically, round numbers, let's say the sheet was $30 and you marked that up 15%. That's $35.29. That's about a $2 a sheet difference in real money in your own company's pocket in profits. So this could be an opportunity for you to, when you raise your prices, to realize higher income and higher profits for your own companies. Does anybody else have any other questions about pricing? Okay. Another thing I want to remind everyone is the inventory that you currently have on your floor right now is worth more money. Try to use your replacement cost as your cost basis on the inventory that you have on your floor right now. You know, put the money in your pocket, put the money in your company's profits. There's no reason to give that away just because you own it at a lower price, because you can't replace it at the same numbers. You know, so an explanation of how we can help you all. If you have an existing agreement with us, we can look at extending it. We can look at blending the higher prices that are coming with whatever's left on the deal that you have with us now. We could blend the numbers together, or we could put some other structure together that we're agreeable to. By locking in some kind of agreement, we'll be able to set aside inventory in our system and guarantee availability for you. If you don't have any kind of agreement in place right now, we can talk to you one-on-one, learn about your specific needs, and see what we can put together for you. So I'd encourage all of you to set up a time and email us, call us, and let's have a one-on-one conversation while we still have a limited amount of time to be proactive and get in front of inventories inventory problems that will be happening in the future. So that's all I have, but I can open it up and answer some more questions for anyone. Does anybody have a comment? Okay. Well, feel free to call us and we can discuss your situation individually. I did attempt to record this call, and we will have the recording up on our blog so you can re-listen to it later. So thank you all for calling in, and have a good day.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.